First of all, kind of a little introduction to everybody. Kind of just say where you are, what you kind of do, where you're at. Kristen, tell us about yourself.
I'm Kristen Cleveland, and I run Big House, the junior high mission work camp here in Texas. And I'm just kind of hanging out at my office today. Nothing too exciting.
And then there's Aaron Dudley.
I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm the Director of Youth Ministries here for 5th and 6th grade for junior high and high school. And I'm also the NTCC Wesley Fellowship, Northeast Texas Community College Wesley Fellowship Campus Director.
And I am Russell Martin, and I'm the Youth Director here at Williams Memorial. I've been Youth Director for 4 years now. I've been here for like 10 years, but doing youth for 4. And so one of the things that, and I'm going to try to switch this, but today I want to kind of mention and talk about ways that we can avoid being burned out and how we refresh. And so I want to start off, and I guess with Aaron. Aaron, what are some of the biggest challenges and stressors that you face? You don't have to mention names, like I said, but what are some of the biggest challenges that stress you out, that cause you anxiety and cause you to feel that burnout and that just stress?
It would probably be consistently keeping adults in their position for a long period of time. If our program loses even just 2 adults on one Wednesday night is when we do our main programming, and it's about 3.5 hours long from start to finish. And if I have 2 adults that don't make it, it's amazing the amount of stress that it brings on, because then we have we have to fill their position really quick, and sometimes it's even short notice. Most of my adults are teachers, and so they may be given a bus duty because another teacher had to leave or whatever the case may be. So I would say keeping a good solid amount of adults consistently to help with our youth programming is probably the biggest stress factor.
And how does that affect you personally with that stress? How does that kind of affect you where you get more stressed?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's it causes a reaction instead of a response. It makes me want to react, like, oh my gosh, and get stressed out and freak out. But since people are everyone's watching me, I can't do that. Even though I can feel it on the inside, I can't do that because it has this trigger effect, this domino effect, and if I'm freaking out, then the other adults freak out, and it just kind of goes downhill from there. So I have to kind of maintain my composure and pick my senior high students, my 12th graders, and pull those. And I'm like, okay, you're an adult today. This Wednesday, I need you to do this role or whatever, be a kitchen lead or a hospitality lead. And it works out fine. I think sometimes those situations cause us to do something positive if we let ourselves. So as far as like how does that affect me, it makes me look for other resources. Of course, and then when I go home, it makes me open a bottle of wine, and I might have a glass or 2.
All right, so Kristen, you're in a different situation, working with an organization that works with youth and kids and stuff. What are some of the things that stress you out and make you that cause you to have anxiety and want to go work at McDonald's some days?
I would say probably last minute changes, especially where like directors are concerned and things like that, because we do have a lot of people in leadership that aren't necessarily youth directors, and they have day jobs that require them to not be doing big house stuff during the day. So helping people probably to understand that that their changes cause the domino effect and affect the camp overall, and kind of looking at the big picture outside of themselves and their group, and kind of looking at the camp as a whole, rather than just how it affects their group. I think that's a pretty stressful thing.
for me, it's probably the same things that y'all were talking about, or Aaron was talking about, is the random text messages I get at 3:40 that say, "Oh, by the way, I can't be there." I have some student leaders who always lead with groups, and so I get the text message of, I'm swamped with homework, I'm not going to be there," or "I forgot about this," or "I didn't tell you, but I'm not going to," And so then my mind's going, okay, especially when I get like 2 in a row, then my mind starts freaking out, and I start thinking,
right,
do that. And the other thing that kind of stresses me out stuff is just like, we work in a church. You'd think everybody would get along, everybody would be great, everybody be on the same page and the same team, but they're not. And so there's those little bitty, it's not fights, but it's like little bitty things for either space or money or just who's planning what and who wants to get credit for what or whatever like that. And so even the office and general church stuff provides some stress that kind of grows and stuff on you. So how do you, just normal stress stuff, how do you during the day, what do you do to kind of help relax? And Kristen, so maybe for you, like during summer when all those things are starting to happen and you get that director who calls you and stuff, and Aaron, you shared a little bit of what you do, but what are the ways that somebody who is watching this and going, I'm a first-time youth director, and all of a sudden I had all my groups quit on me, not the programming part of it, but what's the kind of the process you can help them to go, okay, here's what to do before you, in that kind of response instead of react? How can we help them respond?
I think probably one of the big things for me personally is having someone that I can kind of bounce things off of, that person that I know is going to tell me the truth and not just what I want to hear. Having that person is, I think, really important. I never immediately respond, either if it's a text message or a phone call or an email. I try to take at least an hour to kind of process it before I respond, so that I don't find myself responding, "Are you crazy? What is wrong with you people? Don't you understand?" I try really hard to not just react and to respond, but I really think having somebody that you can go to and just kind of explain what's going on and just say, okay, I need to know, what would you do in this situation? This is what I want to do, but is this completely off base? Am I crazy? Do I need to, take a time out? I mean, having that person, I think, is really important.
Okay. Aaron, what about you?
I can definitely agree with Kristen as far as having someone to bounce ideas off of, or just to have a time to deflate, debrief. But yeah, I don't wait now. If I'm upset, then I wait as far as responding to the text message. But when my adults, and it's like at 3:40, and our programming starts at 4. Kids start arriving between 3:30 and 4. But and so I'm getting these messages, but I immediately want them to know that I got your message and it's okay. I understand, because it doesn't really happen all the time. But it seems like when it does happen, it happens all at once. Everyone says, "We're not coming, we can't make it." And that happens like, maybe once or twice a year. And that's when I just have to call on people to jump in. The younger Aaron, the 20-something Aaron instead of the 30-something Aaron, flips out and wants to know why. Is youth ministry not important to you people? You made a commitment, stuff like that. And but now that I'm older and I'm in my late 30s, I'm prepared for the text messages. It doesn't mean that it doesn't make me flip out inside, but like I said, I chill out and I have to look for other resources. Now you go, Russell. What's your secret?
Probably is one, trying to not react, but is trying to think through situations before. So right now, if I know that there's a chance, what's my plan? Am I going to, like, our plan basically is I have some small groups that I will combine. I'm going to get Aaron off the jokes. There you go. Uh, I have a plan for like small groups, and if I have two junior high small groups, how can I combine those and have them run, and be thinking of that ahead of time, so that way if someone calls, I can at least take the first two or three and go, okay, we're good. And then after that, maybe I freak out a little bit. But back up in my final plan, we all stay in one room, we're at tables, and I kind of lead the groups, and I get some people to help lead at the tables or something like that. So thinking through situations that go and what I would do in the situation, for me, helps tremendously to kind of think ahead on that. Kind of going away from stress and stuff. After it's all done and you've had whatever the situation is, what do you do to refresh, to relax, to get, not like long walks on the beach, but what is it that you do that rejuvenates you and gets you where you don't drive into Walmart to apply or to McDonald's to apply, but you drive back to the church and you pull back in the parking lot and you know what you're going to face the next day, but you still come and go into the office anyway? I'll say for me, one of the things I have kind of discovered, I used to want to work all the time, but days off are a good thing, and even if that is cleaning house and doing stuff, at least it's not with everything else. And that's probably something I learned different between being single in youth ministry and having a family and stuff. Is, if I was single in youth ministry, I can go to the ball fields and watch games all day long. I can be at every school practice. I can do everything. But not that that was healthy, even if I could do that. And to realize that the church will take all of that time. If you will give it, they will take it, and even more. And so to set those boundaries, and a day off for me, one, when I can take it, it's not all the time, but I try, is just a day that I'm not dealing with church stuff. And if you call me, I'm not mad. If it's an emergency, I'll respond. But other than that, there's always Monday, or there's always the next day, or there's always, I'm choosing when to respond to text messages or emails or anything like that. So that is probably one of the biggest things to that. So what are the ways that you refresh and rejuvenate? And we'll go, Aaron. Connection there.
When I get to the point to where I am starting to get burnt out, I kind of can sense that. This sounds kind of cheesy, but I'll watch. I go to YouTube conferences, and I'll watch the talks. I'll do the worship. I'm not like standing in my living room with my hands raised, singing with them, but I just watch it and I take that in, and that's kind of, it refocuses me and it re-energizes me. And sometimes on the talks, it motivates me. So I'll watch Passion Conference videos on YouTube. Also, I don't have a family to take care of, so I'm not really responsible for anyone outside of the church except for just myself, like as far as home life goes. So if I want to do something, I can do it. If I want to hop in my car and go somewhere for a drive, I can. So I kind of have that freedom that a lot of people don't have. So my home isn't stressful. It's like a sanctuary for me. Unlike those who have families and more responsibility once you leave your responsibility at church. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. I watch YouTube Passion Conference videos.
All right, Kristen?
Once all the camps are done in the summer, every year we plan a little getaway. It's the Monday through Thursday, and it's with my family, and we go and we get away, and there's like no cell phone service, and it's amazing. We do that every year. It's become kind of our tradition, and that's the time that I don't look at my cell phone. I don't, unless I'm taking pictures of my kids. That's what I'm doing on my cell phone while I'm there. And so just to have a little bit of rest and relaxation after a hard summer, I think that's really important. And I guess finding something that you kind of like to, just fool around with and do outside of church and outside of family. I mean, I've been painting a lot, and so that really kind of seems to kind of help me kind of channel some of my energy and crazy life. It's been a nice kind of outlet for me. So probably finding something that you enjoy doing just for no other reason than just to be creative and do something outside of the norm.
One of the things for kind of closing out with this is, what is a resource, either a website, Aaron, you already mentioned the video thing, but a resource, a book, or something that you have found that maybe helps with this topic as far as burnout and how to stay refreshed? I can go first if y'all want to think about that for a minute. Probably my two things that I do. One, with our youth group, we've started doing we do senior high Bible study. It's probably one of my favorite times of the week because it's my small group that I get to lead. On normal Wednesday nights, I'm not leading a small group. I've got them going everywhere, and so I'm in charge of 7 groups that are all over the church. But at that time, it's kind of my group, and it's kind of a little more relaxed and stuff. And so having that time, it's by itself, along with that time of reading and doing that SOAP method, and we just put them out by text messages, and they keep up with that. And then also a book that probably helped me the most, and I read it last year when I went to Youth Specialties, and I went to the conference, is the Sustainable Youth Ministry. So, Aaron, do you have a book or resource that you would suggest that people either read or watch or use?
Well, Sustainable Youth Ministry, you nailed that, Russell. That definitely is a great book. I like the book because you can pick out of the chapters. You can find you at that moment, and you can read it, and it's easy to understand. It's easily applicated. So apart from online resources, in the videos, no, the book, you nailed it. So that's good. I use Google. I use Google a lot. So I'm always trying to look for new resources or new ideas, and so I'll just Google stuff.
Kristen, what do you find that resource that you would suggest that would be helpful for us?
We've been doing a study in our Sunday school class, and it's really kind of forced me to kind of take a look at how I pray as a parent and how I pray for the students as well, and thinking about it as more of as not necessarily a parenting role, but how to pray for them specifically. We've been looking at Stormy Orman's book, The Power of a Praying Parent, and I didn't think that it would be something that I would necessarily really look at as far as youth-wise, but it really has kind of opened my eyes to how I pray for the students that we're ministering to. So it's been really good.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all for joining me. Like I said, I think we keep the recorded part of this for about 30 minutes. So for those of you watching this live, it's been fun. For those of you watching on the rebroadcast, make sure and click like in the bottom, and there's a little button there. You click like, subscribe to the channel, all those fun things. But we will see y'all next time.